this every day. I really have one of the best jobs in the world, sitting outside on a beautiful Sea Ray in these conditions with the great spring sunshine at Westeinde Plassen, beautiful place, on a Sea Ray SLX 250. Welcome back. We took this brand new Sea Ray SLX 250 out on the water. It's only done, I think, half an hour approximately. It's brand new, and well, we'd like to take you through this Sea Ray SLX 250, as I said. As usual, I'd like to start at the bow. We have a great stainless steel anchor with a really proper bow roller. Every detail has been thought through, as we're used to with Sea Ray. So this position has been done in a way that it cannot damage and hit the hull. And also here the anchor winch is below this hatch, which means that with this folded in the closed position, you can use this as a step-on with this non-skid material here. And again, the anchor winch protected in a nice way with the controls here, the remote. And of course, if the batteries would be, in a special instance, would be empty, you have a way to do this manually. So, anchor winch, navigation lights, LED. You won't be able to see it. Well, perhaps you can. Like this, really proper cleats, made out of stainless steel of a 316 quality. And what I sometimes say, a lot of people are looking for used Sea Rays, and that is because most people who have experience in boats, they know that Sea Rays, even after 20 or more years, are still in a good condition usually. And that is for, well, the reason behind that is that each and every detail with Sea Ray counts. And not only the things that you can see, but also the things that you cannot see. Taking this cleat as an example, most brands fit a cleat, sometimes even with the screws going from the outside in, which I personally think is a bit ugly. These are screwed from the inside out, so that you don't see it, and you have this nice Sea Ray logo engraved. But not only that, Sea Ray also makes this in a way that there's backing material laminated inside the deck here, so that after 20 or more years where the boat may have had some stress on the cleat, with other brands you see some small cracks here. You won't see that on the Sea Ray, and that is because of this attention to detail. Just using this as an example, because this is the philosophy of Sea Ray, making things in the right way. You may notice my enthusiasm. I really love this Sea Ray SLX 250. It's one of my personal favorites because it's such a luxurious boat, really high quality and lots of attention to detail, like I just mentioned, but also the stitching on the corners here and these nice patterns in the upholstery. Really every detail counts. It's this piece here, for example, which is slightly elevated. If you sit here so that you're more or less protected, you don't slide off the cushions easily. It's cup holders on different places. There are 4 here. It's the ergonomics. If you sit here, for example, even for tall people like myself, the armrest here is made in the right way. There's another armrest / grab rail here, making you feel not only comfortable but also protected. Also, I like that the bow area is relatively high, so that you really have a dry ride. You're also protected a bit from the wind. And also like this, for example, really nice detailing. Another practical thing, by the way, is that you can fold this in the up position to be able to get in and out of the seats. But not only that, there's a filler piece available for this bow area. So if you put the filler piece in, you really have a wide sun lounge, more or less, so that you could fit even more people, especially when they're kids. Some people may notice or know from experience that usually this area is the area that is occupied by the kids, which of course is really good. But this could carry 3, maybe 4 kids easily without any problem. There's also a place, I may be able to show you like this. There's a base here to put a bow table here with an L-shaped support like this, and you can have a table here so that you can have a small drink here, maybe even with a nice a few bites, maybe play a game of cards, whatever, but this really is a nice social area, and as I said, really comfortable with the high backrests here, so a really great bow. I'm forgetting the speakers. There are 2 here in the bow, of course there are more in the back, and all the places below here are used for storage. There's plenty of storage. No, there's a small place there, but below here there's a big one. There's an even bigger one on this side. You can open up this backrest so that you can actually get in and use all the space below the helm. Not only that, below my feet here there's another place where you can store things. I really like the teak, by the way. It's an option that not a lot of people choose. Most people are afraid of maintenance, whereas I always say teak has very low maintenance. It can even last, well, I think for 100 years or so, because it's a really solid, good material. It's nice, it's warm, it's luxurious, it gives you a really classy look on this Sea Ray. So I would recommend it. The only thing that you need to be careful with is red wine, for example, and oil. If you have olives on board, you need to be careful with this. But there are alternatives also, like the Infinity flooring, which I also like, very practical, easy to clean, or the sea deck that a lot of people use, especially on the bathing platform. But as I mentioned, this boat has teak throughout the whole cockpit and the bow area, and also on the bathing platform, making it a really nice combination. This particular Sea Ray SLX 250 has the dune upholstery, which is this brownish color with the dark brown accents on panels like these, and these nice side pockets, which by the way of course are practical to store some things like a mobile phone or whatever. But there are alternative colors for the interior. You can have this dune interior, or the ivory interior, which is a white with dark brown accents upholstery, but also the relatively new stone upholstery, which is light gray. I also like that, especially in combination with the gray sea deck. You may notice here this GPS antenna, which is not in the way. It's not very obvious, it's not in your sight, I would say. This is the place where you empty the holding tank. This is the place where you fill the water tank. There is a small tap in the toilet area in the head, which is below here, which I'll come to later. Let me, by the way, start at the transom, because I mentioned the teak on the bathing platform, which you can see here. Again, it's a matter of taste. I personally like it, but I think it's practical also. But some people don't agree with me, which is fine, of course. We're not all the same, and they can have something else like the sea deck or the Infinity flooring in the cockpit. I also like this submersible swim platform right here. This is the way you use it. Of course, the water is cold, it's spring, but in a nice summer condition, you'd use this to sit here in your swimming trunks with your feet in the water and just stay cool with maybe a cold drink next to you. But this is also used by kids jumping in and out of the water, getting in and out of the water. Of course, there's a proper swimming ladder also, which I think is a 4-step ladder. So really good with the grab handles in the right position. But there are people also who really are fond of this because they do wakeboarding, and it's quite cumbersome to put a wakeboard on and off. It can be quite cumbersome, but not with this submersible swim platform, as it's really practical. Having your wakeboard in the water just for, I don't know, 20 centimeters or so. So a really nice option from Sea Ray. I don't think we're selling any SLX 250s without this, by the way. Speakers here on the in the transom here on the aft, There's 4 cup holders here. There's a remote for the Fusion stereo. What I also like, just looking at these, Sea Ray is one of the oldest, biggest sport boat builders, and you notice that with different details. A cover, for example, can be quite cumbersome to put on, not when the boat is new, because it fits 100%, but of course covers sometimes tend to shrink or, well, flex a bit, and that is why Sea Ray does this. So putting the cover on, putting the cockpit cover here on, if you start from the bow with these, I would call them small fixing points, you put them on, you go aft, and this is used with a small elastic band to get this on. So this elastic band actually compensates for the amount of shrinking that you get over the years. So it fits when the boat is new, but it still fits when the boat is 10 years old or so. And that is the attention to detail that I love with Sea Ray. Nice, proper, big hinges, stainless steel, of course. So again, this is the transom. This is a filling cushion. So this can also be used as a walk-through. You can take this away. There's teak, if you choose the option to have teak, that is underneath this cushion. You can take this backrest away. And of course, there's a big cockpit here with proper seating, lengthy seat bases. I am not the smallest guy, but especially with smaller sloops, which we have a lot of in the Netherlands, I find that the seat bases are really short, making it really uncomfortable if you use a boat for 3 hours or more. Not on a Sea Ray. That is really done in a proper way. And as I mentioned, I also like this being slightly elevated. There's grab rails in different places. You can use this, of course. There's one here. There's 2 cup holders here. A really big table. I really love this setup because, as you can see, it could carry, I don't know, I haven't counted, but I think at least 6 people could sit here comfortably in a really nice and social way. But you cannot only use this table as a regular table. There's small cutouts, I would call them, for extra drinks here with the nice Sea Ray logo. But you could also lower this table. There's a shorter pole here with a filler piece again, so that you can have a really big sun lounge also in the cockpit. That makes it really nice in early spring when it's still a bit chilly, perhaps the wind is still a bit chilly. You close the front window, which I'll show later, and you close the door going to the bow area, taking away the perhaps still chilly wind and having a really nice sun lounge here. That having said, the other nice thing is that if you have a boat with either a bimini or a tower with a bimini, like on this particular Sea Ray SLX 250, this is the place to be when you're out on the water for a full day, when the sun is really burning and it's really hot. Then you really want to be in the shade, making this a great place to do some lounging in the shade and stay cool and not get yourself burned. So that about this cockpit area. Of course, there's storage below these seats, but not only that, there's a huge cooler below this seat here, really big, really deep, so you can carry all the drinks you want to bring for a full day of boating, like on a day today, and this is something I'd also like to explain. This is a really nice place to sit facing aft when you're out anchoring, for example, looking over the water. This is a really comfortable and nice place to sit. But not only that, if you have like a really big family, you do this, and you have, well, extra seating place. You can even turn this seat so that you have a huge amount of seating places. But not only that, this can also be used to just lie down here, being protected from the windshield here, taking away the wind with closing, like I mentioned, this area, taking away the wind even further, like this, closing. Oh, I'm too tall for this tower. Closing this window takes away the wind, as I mentioned, making this a nice, comfortable and protected cockpit. But of course you can fold this up like this, so that you're able to sit in a boating settee, I would say, so that you can have a look on what's around you while somebody's driving the boat. And also here, grab handles, cup holders, nice detailing with this leather style finish. There's a small place to store some things like maybe a wallet or a phone, with a 12-volt socket to do some charging, for example. There's cup holders with, let me put it on. You may notice this blue LED. You can get it, you need to order it in that case, but you can get this in white also. This boat has the blue LED, which is really, well, gives it a classy look, I would say. And you have other courtesy lights, like here. You may notice this half moon, I would call it. That is not to blind the person driving in dark conditions. So that is why it's called courtesy lights. The seat base of the person driving can be taken forward or aft, like this. I'm 1.93 m, and even with this in the full backward position, this is too far away from the steering wheel, where I'm not the smallest person, so I would even get it forward a bit. This can turn like this. Of course you need to be careful, but this can turn in a way, again, as I said, that you're connected to the rest of the people in the cockpit. A great helm with a nice footrest here, angled. Those are the details that I like. If you not have this angled, it's just less comfortable, less safe, because with this you can push yourself more or less into the seat, being protected if the boat is moving around in rough conditions. So that is really useful. What else I really love on the SLX 250s, these stainless steel window frames and the tinted windows with the dark frames below. I think it's a beautiful combination. And of course there's a head on the SLX 250. Not sure we put some stuff in there. No, not today. It's actually quite big. You can wash your hands there. There's nice detailing with this leather style finish with a porthole which can open. So a really good way to have a head. And I must say that in practice that is also used for added storage by many people. You come on board with lots of bags, with all extra clothing and maybe some drinks or things to read, whatever. It's nice to just have a place to put your bags in, close it and take off and still have a tidy boat. There's storage below the floor here. You may see the length of this hatch below my feet. That is so that you're able to put either water skis in or maybe wakeboards. It's relatively deep, so you can actually put at least one wakeboard in. But if you need more storage, I'd recommend the tower, especially if you like wakeboarding, with the towing point being higher, which is really convenient for people wakeboarding. It makes it easier to jump wake to wake, as they call it. But not only that, you can have racks on the tower so that you can store multiple wakeboards, and of course have a nice bimini like we have out on this boat at this moment. With that, I'd like to suggest taking her out on the water. I really like this helm position, also with this seat base folded in the upright position, so that you have a good overview. We're going in these small canals in the Aalsmeer island area, as we call it. So this is really a good way to have a good overview of what we're doing. So again, as I mentioned, there's some water here. We just took the fenders in, so there probably was some water on the lines. But I love these screens, also this setup with a nice flush navigation screen. I think it's beautiful, but not only that, it's also really practical. And something that I also like on this particular Sea Ray, which has a lot of options like the bow thruster, which I, by the way, would certainly recommend. Makes boating life a lot easier, even for experienced people like myself. It's just really convenient to have a bow thruster, because if you're alone, having to take a boat out in a dock, going in reverse with the force 5 or more from the side, it's nearly impossible if you don't have a bow thruster. So it just gives you the extra peace of mind. So you're able to put it in any place you want with, well, in relative comfort. So bow thruster, but not only that option, it also has the full fusion option. This nice display showing you, let me put it on briefly, showing you a nice Sea Ray logo upon startup, but not only that, it can show you the album cover of the artist you're playing, but not only that, it has a powerful amplifier and another subwoofer below the passenger seat there, so there's really good sound. There's 2 speakers in the bow, there's 2 speakers here, one here, one on the other side, and there's 2 speakers on the aft. So plenty of possibility to make it even a party. And of course, like we're used to with nearly all Sea Rays, you have the possibility to tilt the steering wheel, so that if, for example, and I'm actually doing that as we speak, you take the seat down and you want to be in a different way. Let me move around the other boat coming our way. You may want to fold it down like this so that you're in a comfortable position. There's an armrest here next to the controls, making it really comfortable to drive like this. And of course there's the DTS, the digital throttle and shift controls. So there's no cable going from the engine to the controls, making the boat more silent, making it a really smooth control. Just the press of a button. You hear a soft clunk engaging the engine, but that's it. No rattling, no strange noises. You really cannot do anything wrong. You can even start the engine with the press of a button right here, like we're used to with cars nowadays. Of course, there's still an ignition here. There's a main switch here. And there's buttons here for all the lights, the courtesy lights, the running lights, the horn, etc., etc. You could also control the anchor winch from here, which is, I think, a safety thing. If something would happen, if you would be in a really crowded area, even with a strong current perhaps, you would want to drop the anchor quickly, so you could do it from here, but also, of course, from the bow, which is the best you can do, of course, so that you can see how the chain or the line is going, and if you're not hitting the bow with the anchor. And also there's controls for the trim tabs here. As an option, you could even have the dynamic running surface. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to know about the dynamic running surface, but this boat has the trim tabs, which we're used to on both sides, so you can level out the boat in this way, but also in this way, especially going just above planing speed. Some boats tend to lean a bit behind like that. If you don't like that, you put the bow down with the trim tabs here. Not only that, the stern drive can be controlled usually by using your thumb to do this, but you really don't have to do that by using the active trim, which you usually would put in the auto position so that it's done automatically and you don't have to worry about that all too much. So that is the active trim feature. Let me close the gate for a moment while we're at it. I think this needs a bit of adjusting, so let me open it up just in case. There's another small storage here. It's lockable, by the way, which can be convenient. So that is closed for now. You can also open the engine hatch from here. Of course, you need to do some checking every now and then if everything's going as it should. But you can do that from here. I really love the steering. I mean, it's so light. I do this with one finger. Also going faster. And also the controls for the joystick are in the right spot. If I would maneuver, I would tilt this up and put the seat a bit forward to be even closer. But for now, I'll leave it like this. Digital dash, as Sea Ray calls it, is something I really like, where you can have the map here, the engine data there, or the other way around, or you could see what the depth sounder might be showing. There's different things you can show on these screens. You can adapt them, you can modify the way you see different data on these screens. So really good to have all the data and info you'd need. We are now doing 1,300, 1,400 RPM, doing around 10 kilometers an hour, which is a speed which you use a lot in the Netherlands, that is. The boat is nice and quiet. There's a great V8, 6.2 liter. This is equipped with a 350 horsepower cruiser, 6.2 liter as I mentioned, which I think is the perfect engine for this boat. The 300 horsepower option is basically the same engine, but this has the added 50 horsepower, which the boat really doesn't need, but of course is nice to have. There's plenty of torque. I always need to be careful and a bit gentle because of the cameraman. I don't want to leave him behind in the water. So taking her up to plane, I'm doing this gently, but there's plenty of power, a really good torque, so the boat can jump out of water, but I'm not doing that now just for safety reasons. So let me take her up to plane. Doing 20 kilometers an hour, 28. Taking the speed down a bit, 35 kilometers an hour approximately, which is a really nice planing speed. I think efficiency-wise you may need to drive a bit faster, but this is a nice speed if you still want to be able to talk to everyone on board. Have a decent fuel economy, travel long distances, not have too much wind blowing through the cockpit. So really nice. And as I said, you can still steer with just one finger. It's hydraulic steering, electrically power assisted, I would say. So really easy to drive and fun, of course. Let me take some short turns just to show you how easy this boat handles. It's not catching air, nothing. I think it's a really great design. Just handles like a true sport boat, still in a comfortable, really good way. Doing 42 kilometers an hour in the meantime. Let me see what you can do. 68 in the meantime, 70, 72, 74, 76, 77. Approximately 77 kilometers an hour, which is really fast. Let me take the speed down. Still like having this nice Sea Ray logo in front of me. Nice leather stitched steering wheel, lights in the buttons here. It's really done in a nice way. So let me take her back. I think we covered everything. So if we didn't, please let us know in the comment section. Please keep following our channel. We'd love to invite you in the Amsterdam area for a test drive. But please let us know if there's something that I didn't explain, or if there's a specific Sea Ray which you'd want me to make a review on. But for now, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in one of our next videos. Bye.